About your own story. You, as I said, were injured in Afghanistan. You've spent a long time recovering from essentially the effects of September 11, 2001.
And I didn't even know that it started September 11, and it's just been a build-up as I've gone to Iraq, as I've gone to Afghanistan, as I lost so much. I feel like I can now start to rebuild. It's almost like, you know, a parent who loses a child and the killer is brought to justice. I feel like this has been a cold case for a long time, and they've solved it, and I just feel so emotional. My heart is just so light right now. It really is.
All right, thank you so much, Alicia Watkins. So that's one story from in front of the White House, Lafayette Park, at this hour here in Washington, D.C., and I can tell you there's certainly thousands of others. John Voss, back to you.
Okay, Joe John's there for us live at the White House. That was amazing stuff. Thank you, Joe.
It certainly was. Okay, we do want to recap now for just a moment. In the past few hours, a major announcement from U.S. President Barack Obama.
Yes, Osama Bin Laden was killed by a small group of American forces inside Pakistan.
Today, at my direction, the United States launched a targeted operation against that compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. A small team of Americans carried out the operation with extraordinary courage and capability. No Americans were harmed. They took care to avoid civilian casualties. After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
It's an announcement 10 years in the making. Bin Laden's been blamed for thousands of deaths in countless attacks around the world, most notably the attacks on New York and the Pentagon on September 11th, 2001. President Obama says the operation was carried out with Pakistan's cooperation.
All right, we do want to get reaction now from across the Middle East region, and Rima Bakhtabi is standing by for us at CNN Abu Dhabi. So, Rima, what are you seeing in terms of reaction to the death, the news that we've heard now of the death of Osama bin Laden?
Rosemary, it's a top headline news on all Arab media since early morning. It's important news for the region. Osama bin Laden is Saudi. He comes from this region and he has a lot of supporters, but also he has a lot of people who hate him and they denounce Al-Qaeda. First of all, we don't have at this point any official reaction from any Arab government at this stage. Everyone is waiting to see. They're assessing the situation. They may give official statements, they may not. Most importantly in this region is Saudi Arabia. As we know, Bin Laden is Saudi, and Saudi Arabia has been a victim of many explosions and attacks over the past year. So Bin Laden has been a threat to the Saudis and the rest of the Arab world in as much as he has been to America and the Western world. We are waiting for more reactions. We know for a fact some people will be very happy for the death of Bin Laden and for his killing, but other people will be sad. Rosemary?
Yes, certainly, and that's what we're seeing on social media. Certainly, I've been receiving a number of tweets from people saying, is this justice? And other comments certainly implying they are not celebrating on this day. Rima, I just want to make the point, of course, it is morning there across the Middle East. So presumably there's just a delay in officials there and some governments perhaps pulling together statements, because this is a very delicate issue. The wording that they put in statements, they would need to be very careful what they say here.
Indeed, Rosemary, the words have to be chosen really well by Arab governments. On the one hand, they have been part of the battle against Al-Qaeda. We know there has been massive efforts by the UAE government and officials to curb Al-Qaeda's presence and influence in the region. We know that Saudis have started schools and programs to clear the minds of the young people in Saudi Arabia and the Muslim world from the Islamist extremist ideas. So there have been efforts. However, any celebration of the killing of Bin Laden, the head of Al-Qaeda, will be it will have any retaliation against governments, and this is what they're careful of. They're worried that there will be operations in the Arab world just as much as the US is. And even Arab networks, they're very careful about how they air the news, what analysts they host, and how they are tackling this topic. Rosemary.
All right, Rima Maktabi with the reaction there from across the region, reporting there from Abu Dhabi. Thanks so much. Well, of course, reaction has been pouring in from officials and lawmakers to the news, heralding justice for the victims of 9/11. And a little earlier, our Wolf Blitzer spoke with a New York City firefighter, one of the first responders to the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center. Take a listen.
As a New York City firefighter, first and foremost, I think I speak for all New York City firefighters when I give a heartfelt thanks to the members of the United States military who took on this very, very dangerous task. I think the most important news we've heard tonight, much more important than even the death of Osama Bin Laden, is the fact that we lost no troops, no American soldiers in this very, very, very dangerous situation that they put themselves in harm's way to go and do the business of this country. I think that we're a blessed country tonight, Wolf. As a New York City firefighter who survived both September 11th and illness diagnosed for my time at September 11th, I'm proud to be an American tonight. I'm proud of our men and women in the service. I'm proud of the special operations, and I know that I speak for every member of the New York City Fire Department when I say that I hope to God he rots in hell.
New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg says he hopes Bin Laden's death brings some closure and comfort to all those who lost loved ones on September 11, 2001. Indeed, celebrations have broken out at Ground Zero, and CNN's Jason Carroll is there. And Jason, if you can describe the mood for us. I asked Joe Johns this question. There's celebration, but is there a moment of reflection as well?
Well, the way to describe it down here, John, it's jubilant. I mean, the people have been coming down with each passing hour. More and more folks coming down here. They've been bringing their flags. They've been singing songs, reciting, you know, the Pledge of Allegiance, singing. It's really been incredible to see what's been happening down here. It sort of makes you wonder what's going to happen as each hour continues to pass, and when the morning comes and more folks are going to start to wake up and realize what's happening down here. I want to bring in someone very important to talk about the significance of this day. This is Lieutenant Dan Choi. He is a veteran of the war in Iraq, and you remember what happened during the 9/11. You were at West Point at that time. Tell me exactly what this night means for you.
Well, tonight means that we're all American. Whether we are Christian Americans or Muslim Americans, gay Americans or straight Americans, we're all Americans, and that's what we're celebrating here tonight. I don't think we have anything else that we need to celebrate than that.
You know, as I've been down here for the past few hours, I think a lot of people have said to me, you know, this is a night, this is a day that we thought would never come, or we were wondering when it would come. Does it finally seem real to you?
Well, there's been a lot of things in my journey that I've wondered when that victory or when that vindication would come. For me, I had sometimes lost hope in my personal journey, but I know that so long as we tell ourselves from the very first moments of stepping up to serve our country that we will never give up until we accomplish what it is we set out to achieve, then we're going to be all right.
Well, I think a lot of people, I speak for a lot of people who thank you for your service to the country and for what you've done for the United States. And I think a lot of people are now finally feeling a sense of closure. Are you feeling that as well?
I am. And I would like to say that there are many times in our journey where we didn't think that there would be a victory that could pass over all of and calm all of our nerves. But what we learned throughout this past decade is that the only antidote to victimization is confrontation, a confrontation of our own fears, of our own inadequacies, that knows no compromise when our values are at stake. And the values of integrity, courage, and serving one another will lead us forward after this.
Lieutenant Dan Choi, I want to thank you very much for coming down here and being with us this evening. And it's not just folks like Lieutenant Dan Choi who've come down here. Also want to introduce this gentleman as well, Calvin Roy. He's from Texas.
That's right.
And you're living here now.
Living here now in Texas.
Came